Okay, example 8C. -1 times D times B plus 3 times C times D. Okay, so there's a lot going on in this question. Okay, there's matrix multiplication, there's scalar multiplication, and then there's addition. Okay, do not try to do a problem like this all at once. Okay, break it down. Okay, I'm going to do D times B, get that result, and then multiply it by -1. And then I'm going to do the C times D, get that result, multiply that by 3, and then I'll have the two pieces and then add them together. Okay, so we're going to break this down into steps. If you try to do this all at once, you will most definitely make a mistake. Okay, so you're going to have to go back to the beginning of the problem where it references all the matrices. Okay, so we're referring to, A, B, C, and D from the beginning of example 8. Okay, so I am going to start with D times B. Okay, so D times B, you're doing that multiplication. Remember, the order of multiplication matters. So D needs to be on the left. Okay, so D is 3, 0, 1, -2, -1, 2. Okay, and then write down B. Okay, B is -3, 2, 1, and 5. Okay, so this is what D times B looks like. Okay, we need to make sure that we can do the multiplication first. Okay, this matrix D has 3 rows and 2 columns, so it is a 3 by 2 matrix. And then matrix B has 2 rows and 2 columns, so it's a 2 by 2. The inner numbers match. Okay, so that means we can do the multiplication. And the resulting matrix will be a 3 by 2. So let's go ahead and map that out. Okay, so let's go ahead and map out 3 rows and 2 columns. I think I'm actually going to be able to fit this one. All right, so again, I'll write over here just to make sure you have this for your notes. Okay, the result is going to be a 3 by 2. Okay, so here we go. All right, so now we just need to do all of our dot products. Okay, all right, so let's start filling this in. Okay, so this is going to be my first row, first column. Okay, so I'm going to do the dot product of the first row, first column. Okay, so this is going to be 3 times -3 plus -2 times 2. Okay, all right, and then we move over. This is going to be first row, second column. So we need to do the dot product of the first row, now the second column. All right, so this is going to be 3 times 1 plus -2 times 5. Okay, and then moving on, this position is the second row, first column. So we are going to do the dot product of the second row, first column. Okay, so we will get 0 times -3 plus -1 times 2. All right, second row, second column. Okay, we're going to do the dot product of the second row, second column. Okay, so we're going to get 0 times 1 plus -1 times 5. And now we're doing the third row, first column. Okay, remember this element, that's where it's located in the matrix we're putting together. This is third row, first column. Okay, so we're going to do dot product of the third row, first column. Okay, so this is going to be 1 times -3 plus 2 times 2. Last element, okay, this is third row, second column. Okay, so it's going to be the dot product of the third row, second column. Okay, so this will be 1 times 1 plus 2 times 5. Okay, so that's all the work, okay, which you should show when you're doing this for me on a quiz or a test. Okay, so I can see how you got these numbers, okay. All right, I'm going to go over here, okay, and I'm going to simplify this. Okay, so D times B is going to be, let's simplify. This is going to be -9 plus a -4, so that's going to be -13, okay. And then over here is going to be 3 plus -10, so that's going to be -7. And then 0 plus a -2. And then 0 plus a -5. And then -3 plus 4 is going to be +1. And then 1 plus 10 is 11. Okay, so that is D times B. Okay, but remember, okay, according to our master plan here, okay, we're going to have to do scalar multiplication once we have D times B. So now we're going to have to do -1 times D times B. Okay, so I'm going to write that out to the side. I'm going to go ahead and do the scalar multiplication before I move on to the C times D part of this problem. Okay, so -1 times D times B. Remember what that means. Scalar multiplication. You're going to take every number in the matrix and multiply it by that number. Okay, so we're going to take every number in here and multiply it by -1. That's going to change the sign of everything. So everything negative will become positive. Everything positive will become negative. Okay, so this result is going to be 13, 7, 2, 5, -1, -11. Okay, so this is, I don't know, I guess I should circle this, okay, because we're going to need this to put the final answer together. Okay, so let's put this in green, okay, and I'm just going to box this, and remember, that is this part, okay. We still have to go do the 3 times C times D part, okay. So in our next step, okay, I'm going to kind of put this on the back burner. We will come back to it, okay, but we're going to do C times D, okay. Then once we get that result, we will multiply it by 3, okay. So I'm going to go down here, okay, and we're going to write out C times D, okay. Again, it's very important to pay attention to which matrix is on the left and which one is on the right, okay. We've got to go back to our original problem, and we've got to reference C times D, okay. So let's go ahead and write this out, okay. So C is going to be -1, 0, 2, and then 4, -3, 3, 1, and then -2, 3, 5. Okay, we're going to multiply by D. Okay, D is 3, 0, 1, and -2, -1, 2. Okay, so again, first thing we've got to check is to make sure we can actually do this multiplication. Okay, so this is a 3 by 3 matrix. This guy is 3 by 2. Okay, the inner numbers match, so we're good to go. We can multiply, and the result is going to be a 3 by 2 matrix. Okay, so the result is a 3 by 2. Okay, go ahead, map it out. Okay, so we are going to have 3 rows, 2 columns, just like we did before. Okay, so 3 rows, 2 columns. Okay, all right, so our final matrix here is going to look like this for this part. Okay, all right, so let's start filling in the entries. Okay, so it's a lot of work for this one. Okay, so this is first row, first column. Okay, so we're going to do the dot product of the first row, first column. Okay, so multiply corresponding entries together, add them all up. Okay, so this is going to be -1 times 3 plus 0 times 0 plus 2 times 1. Okay, all right, so then moving on. Okay, this is going to be the first row, second column. So now we need to do the dot product of the first row, second column. Okay, so this is going to be -1 times -2 plus 0 times negative 1 plus 2 times 2. Okay? All right, so on to the second row, first column. We're going to do the dot product of the second row, first column. Okay, so this will be 4 times 3 plus negative 3 times 0 plus 1 times 1. Okay, and then for the second row, second column, we're going to do the dot product of the second row, change to the second column. Okay, so it's going to be 4 times negative 2 plus negative 3 times negative 1 plus 1 times 2. Okay, and then let's do the third row, first column. Okay, so we're going to have dot product of third row, first column. Okay, so this will be negative 2 times 3 plus 3 times 0 plus 5 times 1. Okay, last position. Okay, third row, second column. You've got to do the dot product of the third row, second column. Okay, so this is going to be negative 2 times negative 2 plus 3 times negative 1 plus 5 times 2. Okay, so there's all your work. Now we need to simplify it. That's going to give us C times D. Okay, so let's go ahead and process all this arithmetic and write it down over here. Okay, so C times D. Okay, let's see what we've got. We've got negative 3 plus 0 plus 2. So negative 3 plus 2 is negative 1. And then over here is positive 2 plus 0 plus 4. So 2 plus 4 is 6. Okay. 12 plus 0 plus 1, that's going to be 13. Negative 8 plus 3. So negative 8 plus 3 is going to give us negative 5 plus 2 is negative 3. And then negative 6 plus 0 is negative 6 plus 5 is negative 1. And then negative 2 times negative 2 is positive 4 plus a negative 3 is positive 1 plus 10 is going to be 11. Okay, so this is C times D. Okay, go back to the original problem. We need to do 3 times C times D. Okay, so now we're going to do the scalar multiplication. Okay, we're going to come back. Okay, and we're going to do 3 times C times D. We're going to take every number inside this matrix and multiply it by positive 3. Okay, so that's going to give us, let's see, multiply everything by 3. So negative 3, 18. Okay, 3 times 13 is 39. Negative 3 times 3 is negative 9. 3 times negative 1 is negative 3. And then 11 times 3 is 33. Okay, so I will color code this again. Okay, so I will put this in some kind of, I don't know, orange color. Okay, so here we go. Okay, that is this piece. Okay, so now we've got the green block, we've got the orange block, and then we need to add the results. Okay, so you need to take this matrix, okay, and add it to this matrix. Okay, so let's go ahead and do that, and that will be the final answer. Okay, so I'm going to try to fit it in here at the bottom of the page, so I don't have to add another page to this. Okay, so take off the page number so we don't mix up that number with everything. All right, so our final answer is going to be take negative 1 times D times B. That's going to be 13 times, or sorry, 13, 7, 2, 5, negative 1, negative 11. Okay, we are going to add 3 times C times D, which is this matrix we just found. So we're going to add negative 3, 18, 39, negative 9, negative 3, 33. Okay, so remember, in order to add two matrices, they have to be the same size. Okay, both of these guys are 3 by 2s. Okay, so we can go ahead and add. Okay, you're just going to add the corresponding entries. Okay, 13 plus a negative 3 is going to be positive 10. Okay, 7 plus 18 is going to give us 25. Okay, 2 plus 39 is 41. 5 plus a negative 9 is negative 4. Okay, negative 1 plus 39 is 38. And then lastly, negative 11 plus 33 is positive 22. Okay, so after all of that work, and that was a ton of work, okay, this is going to be, I just realized I made a boo-boo because I looked at something incorrectly here. Okay, hang on, I made a little mistake, okay. I added this number wrong right here, okay. I was looking at the 39, so hang on. Negative 1 plus negative 3 should be a negative 4 right here, okay. Sorry about that. I was just, after looking at all these numbers, your eyes kind of get crossed, okay. So anyway, this is the answer, okay. So it took all of that work, okay, to get this one little matrix here, okay, but this is the final answer to the problem, okay. Understanding this, okay, if you understood this example, then you definitely understand how to multiply two matrices, okay, you understand scalar multiplication, and you understand the addition of matrices. So that's a ton of things packed into one problem, okay, and that is going to be the end of basic operations with matrices. Okay, we will move on to 4.5 and 4.6 now. I teach these sections together, okay. We're going to kind of talk about the division aspect of matrices. Like I said, we talked about adding, subtracting, multiplying. There was no division of matrices, and there really isn't there really isn't division of matrices, but there's something close to it, and that's what we're going to talk about in these last two sections, okay? All right,